Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Bama Center Network, where this awesome show is called The Final Whistle with my Crimson Avengers. Hit that like, subscribe button. We are glad you are here. Get in the comment section, get in the chat, tell a friend. It's going to be an awesome, action-packed show. Can't wait to dive right in. And let's go around the panel. Mr. Around the Table Sports, with the hat, the brim, keeper ablaze, and he's going to tell us where Blaze's whereabouts is. Ty Hayes, how are you, sir?
Doing great, but Blaze's whereabouts shall remain a secret so that it's not weaponized against us.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, next to the keeper of Blaze, Mr. Chris James, 32 chicken. What do you got in the crock pot tonight, Chris?
We just some spaghetti tonight, man. That's all. Keep it simple.
Crock pot spaghetti. I love it. Oh, man. And ladies and gentlemen, our resident Debo, final whistle analyst, Lucian Graves. How are you today, sir?
You know, I'm feeling great, man. I'm ready to get it done with the Avengers, man. We got some stuff to talk about. Might rub some people the wrong way. Pause. Not talking about Auburn's off the field habits, but we're gonna get into it.
Shots fired early. Speaking of Auburn, our next guest was on vacation. You've heard of Comic-Con, but he was with Hugh Freeze at MassageCon down there in Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Patty, how are you, sir?
Just a rough vacation, man. I went down to the Florida Keys, and there's parlors everywhere, but you couldn't get in one. They were all booked up. Freeze on vacation, I guess.
Freeze on vacation, recruit.
Hey, man, a week off. I'm back with the Avengers. Glad to be here. Got my Avengers shirt on, so we good.
I love it. I love it. And that's the Crimson Avengers. And yes, Dan should be popping in and out. He has a busy dance schedule. He's working with Miss Mabel tonight, so we'll figure out how that works tonight. But
yeah, his dance schedule, he had several privates lined up off, so he's trying to work us in.
He's the hottest dancer for senior citizen women in South Georgia. I know that for sure. Speaking of hot, if you want to take your business to next level hotness, contact the amazing people at Workspace Solutions. If you want to take your digital online marketing presence, whatever you want to do and keep your business hot, striking iron like Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan recruiting, contact the people at workspacesolutions.com. That's workspacepros.com. Guys, they said that Dave Bettis enjoyed savings at the Toyota Rubathon. I like it. Freeze says,
I'm kidding. I was sending the group pictures on my vacation.
Hey, guys, I just mentioned Kalen DeBoer, his Bama staff, Courtney Morgan, Coach Cap. Guys, those guys, Alabama recruiting is on fire right now. Listen, they are striking while the iron's hot. They had some really good official visits, got a lot of momentum from some guys. But guys, let's talk about we're going to come back to them being so effective. Let's kind of talk about some complications in recruiting this year's class. What, you got NIL, you got transfer portal. Let's discuss this topic and let's kind of discuss some of the complications, whether it's recruits, parents, whatever you want to discuss it. Let's discuss it. I'm going to start with my guy, Lucian.
Well, in this day and age, you have to take a lot of different factors into consideration on what goes into actual recruiting. It's not just NIL. It's not just what goes on in the football program. The main thing that matters in these processes, I would say, is relationships. And sometimes those relationships get built upon. Sometimes those relationships get broken down. Now, for whatever reason, positive, negative, for richer or for poor, that happens positive and negative at some schools. It's just life. We can't get everybody, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And a lot of times, sometimes you get a couple recruits that don't really agree with their parents. We've seen that in the past, like when Landon Collins and some of the other kids that have chosen Bama over their schools they were pledged to. We might see that in the future. We might not. But I hear it's flipping season, so that's a positive note. But you run into certain things, especially like locker room situation, drama. You just never know. There's a lot of factors that go into the recruiting that could create negative friction. So it's important, and especially with our coaching staff, because everyone's new, that they've kept a positive balance and that energy high, because it's allowed them to be successful in this recruiting train early.
That's a great take right there. Ty, I'm going to go to you. You're around the table sports. You see different programs. You cover a lot of, different programs, kids. You're out there in Texas with a lot of talent. Is there any other type of complications? Obviously, social media, NIL, but what has made recruiting a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult that maybe LaShawn did not mention that's kind of, on your mind or whatnot?
It's a combination of everything, right? I mean, it's the existence of the transfer portal. NIL certainly, it takes what was already happening behind closed doors and just exacerbates it. And there's a reason why I've said this before, and I'm going to say it here because I don't know if I've said it on this show, but this is a take I've had for, going on 5-6 months now. The GM position, like a Courtney Morgan, in the next 5 years, bookmark this. 95% of college footballs will have a dedicated Courtney Morgan, their own version of a Courtney Morgan. Why? Because there aren't many CEOs left in college football that can manage recruiting, manage roster, manage everything, because it's too much now. In between an early signing period, a February signing period, 2 different transfer portal windows, the 30-day window whenever a coach retires, it's way too much now. So you get yourself a guy like a Courtney Morgan, who is the best in the business at what he does, right? Like, he is the best at what he does. Now, speaking more poignantly on some of the things that happened this week on social media, I'm going to be very brief, but I'm going to be very forward in this, right? Of course, there's a player every Alabama fan wants, right? And a lot of people are wondering, oh, well, are we not going to be able to get him because of a parental situation? If you see anything like that in the future, just reply with the following. Hey, we would love to have you in the class, but regardless, we wish you the best in your endeavor, and we will always be rooting from afar. Why? Because recruits are watching now. Their parents are watching now. Mm-hmm. And you might think to yourself, oh, but I'm just a fan. But in that moment, you are speaking as a part of the university, whether you went there or not, whether you're a part of the university or not. Your voice is now a part of the collective fan base from that university. So be positive. Hit them with, hey, kill them with kindness. Hey, would love to have you a part of the class. I'll be rooting from you from afar, and good luck. And on to the next. Let the staff handle it. But kill them with kindness, because I promise you this. If a lot of fans do that, you don't think other parents out there are going to sit back, look at the situation, and go, oh, their fan base, like, this is a great fan base. You might not think it makes any difference. Parents are watching.
I love that take. I love that different perspective, kind of addressing the fans. Chris James, your high school coach, you played, got recruited. Kind of dive into what are you seeing from, your level, just what is it, more family members being involved? What could complicate recruiting for talented recruits, that some of these guys, LaShawn and Ty, might not have mentioned?
When kids have the wrong people handling their recruitment.
Great point.
Whether it's a handler, family member. Now, I think most kids, not all, but most kids, if they're coaches, the coach is going to have, the player's best interest at heart, and the coach is not going to want to mess up their relationship, because they know they have more kids to pump out. So they're not going to do anything to kind of jeopardize that pipeline of them, sending kids to school. Some coaches aspire to coach on the next level. So they're going to, do their best on their end to, make sure things roll smoothly. But when you have that uncle or Uncle Festus.
I noticed the two dudes that actually went through the recruiting process in college are giggling right now. Just saying. This ain't a new world of recruiting.
You always got that uncle or cousin
new tricks.
that come out of nowhere.
You got that big cousin, your mama, brother you ain't seen in 20 years, all of a sudden come around your senior year. You saw your name on the paper, and wanted to come around.
Yeah.
Like, man, when you have they can really mess you up, man. We've seen it back in our days. I mean, we had seen guys on visits and they brought that cousin that was just out of place, stood out like a sore thumb. Should have never brought him.
Yeah,
but it came anyway. Anyways, and sometimes that could turn the staff off. They could turn the coaching staff off. But when people have their hand out, or what can you do for me? You're asking for more than what the starting quarterback is making. You haven't played a dime. We don't know what you can do on this level. You haven't proven anything, and you already asked for $2 to $3 million. Come on, man, be real. Come in and prove yourself. And that's what Coach Courtney Morgan was telling these kids. What did he say? What was that, Ty? Of the something about development, something what he said the other day that stood out. He made a tweet about
I don't remember the tweet, but basically the sentiment, and he said this over, and shout out to 24/7 Sports. He was over at a show on there talking about this as well. He's like, the first thing you should be worried about is development. Because and this is a roundabout message, this isn't a direct quote. If you're developed at the college level, more NIL opportunities are going to arrive, right? Like if you become a national name, Dr. Pepper will come knocking. Gatorade will come knocking. Beats by Dre will come knocking. All of these major brands will come knocking, only increasing your name, image, and likeness capabilities. So development is king. It's going to dwarf what you can get from a collective.
I love that take.
So yeah, good stuff, Ty. So yeah, but to finish up my point, man, you just have to be careful about who you let handle your recruitment, who you involve in your decision making, or who you have in your circles. Like sometimes you have those mom and dads that there's nothing you can do about it. It's mama, that's dad. They're going to be who they are. You have those, but for the most part, 9 times out of 10, the family member is going to have kids, best interest at heart, and they want to know, how's my baby going to be academically, how they're going to be, their social life, will they be safe on campus? If this is a safe campus, will their nutrition, will they get the good meals, that their mom used to cook all the time at home? So like mama's worried about those types of things. But as a kid, as a player, recruit, all we see is the playing time. We see the jersey, the nice stuff in the locker room. We see the 100,000 people. We see the social media following, jumping up. We don't see it from our best interest. We see it from like a potential star standpoint. So you have to have somebody in your corner that's going to be there to ask those questions and have those questions answered that the recruit could care less about, but at the same time, it's for their best interest. So that's why you got to be really careful who you have in your corner, because like you say, if you have that uncle that all he sees is dollar bills, it can go wrong, man. And back then that has turned a lot of recruits off. Nick Saban, it turned Nick Saban off from a lot of recruits. Those type of things. Like y'all will be amazed at how many kids kind of missed themselves. Like if you ever hear the staff or somebody like BOL staff, somebody say that they're going to move on from this kid's recruitment, like they doubt that this like Bama will be a factor in their recruitment, it's because either something like that, either they asked for some outrageous amount of money, or they felt like the kid wouldn't be a fit for the locker room.
Great stuff. Now I want to bring in Justin, and I want to go to our guys who Daniel Petty. He covers, he loves the Crimson Tide, but he, born and raised in the state of the Magnolia state of Mississippi. And we feel like all the time when it comes to kids being recruited out of the state of Mississippi, it's a lot more drama, I feel, to say the least. Petty, Justin, let's talk about the state of Mississippi. Always have talented. So that kind of adds to it. You have 2 in-state schools. You have LSU down there. You got Alabama. You got Auburn. You got so many schools trying to compete. How does that make recruiting top talent out of the state of Mississippi so complicated? Petty, Justin, you all can take this.
You want to go, Justin? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Man, Mississippi is probably the weirdest dichotomy in all of recruiting because it's a talent-rich state. Per capita, they have more guys that go to the NFL than any state. It's just very weird. But they still work in the 80s as far as videotape a lot of time. A lot of time you don't know about a Mississippi kid because there's no video of him.
Right.
Jones that ended up at Mississippi State, he was a 2-star because nobody knew who he was until the last week where he actually went to an event and blew up. And it just – and to kind of echo on things that Chris and Ty were talking about with Uncle and Matt that was laughing about all these uncles and aunts. Well, that's a big thing in Mississippi. And now that you have open NIL, you've got, man, we borderline agents are free reign on these kids and not these kids, their parents saying, hey, I can shop. You can go to Alabama, go to a visit here, and I can get Ole Miss up. They're really shopping kids and telling kids you can get certain deals. This school can actually offer you more. This school can offer you this. And again, Mississippi was a Wild West before. And Matt, you hit the nail on the head. It's always been cherry picked by the bigger programs because, let's be real, Mississippi State and Ole Miss have struggled throughout the years. And you're just one state over. You've got Alabama winning national titles and Auburn, who's had a good program over the years, and LSU to the south, who's a national title contender, in and out, always coming after the kids. So it just creates just insane drama. And then there is pull to go to certain areas like Cunningham is a great example. There's a lot of pressure on that kid right now to go to Mississippi State. I'm not sure the kid wants to stay in the state of Mississippi. And that's another thing. A lot of those kids want to get the hell out. And that's why you see when he goes to Auburn's my number one. Well, then he goes to a real school like Alabama. It's like, hell, Alabama's my number one, but then he gets back to the maroon era around Starkville, Mississippi, and everybody's pressuring him to go home or stay away. So it just leads to drama. And, we're going to see it this week. Alabama's about to be the recipient of some of it with A.K. Deere. The kid's been committed to Ole Miss for a few months. He comes over to Alabama and Alabama flexed. And look, man, we talk about Courtney Morgan being the secret sauce. I'm not calling him the secret sauce anymore. I'm calling him the Grim Reaper because once a kid gets to campus, it's lights out. It's over because he's getting it done. And I don't know, man. Like I said, it's a weird issue of a ton of talent. Not a lot of direction in that state, not a lot of great coaching in Mississippi. A lot of those kids have to be developed once they get to college. So again, it just causes for a lot of weird. So you don't know about them until late in the process. And then you got all these teams going after them because they are good athletes. And it causes one hell of a mess in Mississippi. And you get the Cunningham drama, you get the AK Deere drama. So it's crazy, but again, more times than not, Bama's been a big recipient. Bama's always done well in the state of Mississippi. Again, I said kids like to get out of there. Well, the bright light shine in Tuscaloosa, and that's not real far from home for most of those kids. So they don't have to go real far to really elevate and go to a program that gives them a better opportunity at the NFL. So again, it gets crazy.
Petty couldn't be more correct, sir. The state of Mississippi is about 20 years behind everybody and just to pretty much every facet of life. And it's not just football, but in terms of football, yes, getting the names of these kids out there is difficult. Either the coaches are too lazy to put them out there, or there just isn't the technology to really give them the pop that they deserve. Now, outside of schools like, say, a Madison Central, now a Hartfield Academy, or even the great South Panola University, kids don't really have that direction. They don't really have the positive atmosphere around them, the solid leadership council, if you will, that's pouring life into them to make them better people and help them make better decisions to advance them in life and in football. Instead, like I think it was Chris that mentioned earlier, you got the Uncle Festuses and the Uncle Leroy, twice removed from his mama's side that he's only met one time at a family reunion, if that. But just pouring nonsense into their heads, not for them to make a better decision, but to benefit their wallet more. So it's kind of, and then like you say, if they do go away from that, they never really leave that. They kind of feel drawn back to whatever area they came from, like a Rolando McClain. When he was at Alabama with Nick Saban under the watch, he was okay. He was making right decisions. But when he went back home with his boys, that's where things suddenly would go awry. Same with the Mississippi kids. And a lot of them are coming from the rural areas, like in the Delta, like we already see with Cunningham. They just don't have that leadership around them that can properly guide them. So that's pretty much what it is. And the coaches who aren't really putting them out there the way they should, that's why you see them being discovered by people who know what they're talking about. They get to Mississippi State or an Ole Miss or even a Southern Mississippi, and all of a sudden they start developing, they start blooming, and you're looking around, you're like, what in the absolute hell? Where'd this guy come from? And there's been plenty throughout history that have shown us that. And now that they start becoming a little bit more, they just hop in the transfer portal. But still, that's kind of what's going on. Yeah, Mississippi is a weird place. It's backwards, and people aren't about improving. And they like things the way it is. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. But yeah, outside the big schools, like I mentioned, a Madison Central or South Panola University, that's what you're going to run into.
Great stuff. Love those takes, guys. As you can see, somebody came hot back in. Our lead recruiting analyst, Dan. Dan, I'm asking.
Hope that tip was worth it, Dan.
Yeah, I hope it was worth it.
He likes to move it.
I'm just gonna say 2 words: polygraph. Dan. Speaking of recruiting, we just discussed recruiting complications, family members, NIL, transfer portal, all this stuff. The state of Mississippi, why recruits are so much, dramatic. Alabama's on the cusp of getting some guys, but yet it's still June, late June, early July. How does Alabama, the staff, Courtney Morgan, when we get these guys, what's going to be key for us to keeping these guys on board come signing day in December?
Well, we're in a time where you got to keep recruiting. You got to be. It's about relationship building. Okay. You have to win over not just the recruit. You have to win over the family, the coaches. Their support group. It just, and also at Bama, like they say, everybody's not for Bama and Bama's not for everybody. So it's a little different. We recruit certain type of people, Saban established that, and so we continue the process, and it just, the landscape is changing. You got NIL, so it requires an ability to adapt, to the logistical issues of it. But it comes down to having people skills. The ability, that's just not just as far as ability to communicate with people and everything, but also the ability to evaluate people. So you got to have those type of people skills and interpersonal skills. But Bama's not lacking. We thought recruiting would drop off. But we replaced the GOAT with somebody that is hey, maybe questionably. I hate to say it, maybe just as good. As far as building relationships and people around him. With people around him, building relationship with coaches. He has a wide network of coaches. And those.
And you can say it. Courtney, I mean, like Saban was the best in the era that he was the best in, but this era is different. Look, man, there's no mistaking. He didn't like this new era. Courtney Morgan is as good. Like, he's the Nick Saban of this era. I'm telling you, he is that.
He had somebody to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Anybody want to add to this? You know, how do we keep them, or just any other complications regarding recruiting?
Sometimes you have to feel bad for a kid, man. Like, they want to be at a certain school, but their parents done sold the soul, to get them to go to another school. And you can see it on the face. All you got to do, man, is look around that table where they're announcing their decision. Who's smiling? Who's happy? Who's really clapping? The one that's sitting there with the frown, that's the uncle that would have got that $500,000.
Would have got the payout if it had gone to the other school.
Yeah,
but it goes to what Ty said. You in this era where you can get in the portal the very next year, you don't burn those bridges. You keep those relationships straight.
There it is.
Right. Perfect. Lushan?
I mean, like everybody said, you gotta wish them nothing but the best. Unless you committed to Tennessee, then we're just gonna forget you even existed. I'm gonna be real about that one.
I don't even know if I want to touch them after they go to Tennessee.
I mean, that's and Auburn too. I'm not really sure if we're going there either. There's just certain lines we can't cross in the Crimson, and I think the color orange is blatant.
Unless they X out the tattoo on their arm with the tattoo, then it's okay.
Yeah.
We only have one mascot. We don't have like 6 over here, so I'm not sure that would make sense. We don't toilet paper trees or have, buildings with dark blinds and upper rooms,
hidden chambers. But guys,
18-wheelers giving deliveries.
Oh yeah. Speaking of deliveries, let's stay on this recruiting topic. Let's stay in the secondary. Alabama's got a few top talented 4-star guys, but they potentially could get a 5-star. Dijon Lee, who took his visit this past weekend, along with some other top talent, Cunningham, all those guys. I'm gonna start with Dan and then go Ty. Regarding Dijon Lee, is he a lock for Bama? And let's kind of discuss the secondary as a whole from this topic, sir.
Okay, I would say he's about as a lock as I would say. Yes. So I would say 90% lock. That's being highly confident. I really like where we sit with Dijon Lee. His interaction with the players and the staff. You got to love it. You really got to like where we sit as far as Dijon Lee. And who was the other one?
I just want to say, what about the rest of the secondary? Picking him up, we have how many DBs are we trying to go after? Are there any safeties? What are we trying to do for the secondary position as a whole?
Well, I'm looking at I'm thinking maybe 2 more, one more cornerback, 1 more safety. Because you figure what we have in the class right now. We have Zamir Smith, we have Chuck McDonald, we have Dijon Lee. Well, I'm being a little bit premature. We'll have to wait to Friday to find out that. But we have did I say Derek Smith, as a safety. So I look, the maybe for us to add maybe another corner and a safety. And the safety position, I'm thinking the top of the board is probably Ivan Taylor.
And he's a Notre Dame commit, correct?
Correct.
Got it. Ty, I want you to kind of break down you and Lushan, kind of break down the talented Dijon Lee. 6'4" kid, long, rangy. I believe he's top 5 cornerback in this class. What are some of the things you see from a talent standpoint and how he can really thrive under Mo Linguist and Kane Womack's defense?
Yeah, so when we talk about Dijon Lee, there's a few things that I think Alabama fans should be excited about. First and foremost, he has all the intangibles, right? He has got real speed, like top-end speed, but also really great short area burst. And for a cornerback, right, cornerbacks and running backs are two positions where, like, long speed is amazing. It's something you definitely want to have, but that short area burst can be just as good. It can help them stick with the wide receiver in and out of breaks that they can keep up with them right then and there. He has that. On top of having a 6'4" frame, guys, I'm not going to lie, he's really fluid, right? Like, it's kind of rare to see a guy with that stature have as fluid hips as he has. And I'm going to tell you what really stood out to me on his tape. It was, one, the fluidity he possesses, but you want to know the plays where I really noticed it? It was the plays where he was just flexing his football IQ. So he's got all the intangibles from a physical standpoint. But guys, you go watch his film. How many times is he on his guy in phase and his eyes are on the quarterback and he's looking and there's an underneath guy and the quarterback is cocked, ready to go to throw it to the underneath guy? Dijon Lee is screaming off of his assignment, pursuing the underneath guy, and he's bringing the hammer. But in order to do that, one, you have to watch film. You have to have high football IQ. But two, you have to be super fluid to go from in phase to turning and burning right on that wide receiver underneath. And he does it time and time and time again. He constantly is making plays where he's not even the targeted cornerback. He's making a play because he's so good at reading a quarterback. I mean, it's really impressive, right? And one more thing before I pass this to LuShawn, I don't want to understate what a big win, if Alabama gets him, this will be. Let me explain. Last year, in August of 2023, there were articles around college football that Lee could be looking like he was in a great position for USC. Now, way too early, I agree with you. But let's peel the onion back one more layer. USC's defensive back coach is now at Georgia. So, yes, Courtney Morgan and Kalen DeBoer, they had a relationship with Dijon Lee, but USC was one of his first offers. It was the one where he was talking about he had a great relationship with them, so great that many in the recruiting industry thought he could commit to USC and they wouldn't bat an eyelash. Georgia hires him and T-Rob. And yet Alabama, without Coach Saban, without T-Rob, has usurped the relationship he had with Coach Williams. That's impressive. Let's not be reductionist when we talk about this win. It's always great to get a 5-star, but let's unpack the nuance of this conversation and understand how this win came about and why, if we want to give an example of Kalen DeBoer and company flexing their muscles on the trail, this is the example. This will be an impressive win for Alabama should it come to fruition.
LuShawn, what is it, something that you really stands out for you regarding Dijon Lee?
So I'm gonna hit this from a different angle. I think one of the things that automatically stood out to me is that Dijon Lee can be effective in any facet of the defense. And I mean anywhere. I watched this film kind of deep today, and I saw him making plays no matter if he was lined up in space, lined up on an island, lined up in the back part of the secondary. This kid is a flat-out playmaker. And like Ty said, he is not shy about bringing the wood when he comes to hitting running backs and coming up and run support. And the thing I like about him, as Ty kind of alluded to, is his downhill speed, which I hit on that, and I'm going to keep hitting on this, and especially in this football game today. Verified track speed is a difference maker in a football game. And I'm going to tell you why. Ty alluded to the fact that he is a very downward player. I like him for the exact opposite reason, because the kid is an elite hurdlist, which means he knows how to stride it out. Because in this game, you're going to have fast receivers, and the kid is 6'4". So automatically, you're going to think he's not going to be able to stay in phase all the way down the field against a burner. Well, you're wrong. He's going to stay step for step with him. The kid is fast. He gets to stride, and then it's over. Not only does he get to stride, he does not lose where the football's at. A lot of kids, when they're going through phases, lose track of where the football's at. He doesn't. Guys, this is one of my favorite recruits, and he has been since he came on the market for Alabama, just because his size and this defense, you can't forget what we got in this last DB class with Zabian Brown, Zay Mincy, Jalen Mbakwe, Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. We have, and Red Morgan, like we have studs. And you bring in guys like a guy like Dijon Lee, he doesn't necessarily have to play corner. He doesn't necessarily have to play anywhere. Because he can be effective anywhere in the secondary. And in a Kane Womack swarm defense, baby, money, turnovers. That's the callous of this defense, and everybody better get used to it. Turnovers. Bama ain't going nowhere. We just restocked and reloaded. We ready to kick college football's ass once again. Let's go.
Let's go. Listen, I gotta shout out the chat. I'm seeing Buckeye fans, Georgia fans all in here. Shout out to the chat. Y'all are going crazy. Chris James, our resident DB, you're unofficial GM. You do a great job of, players comps. When you see Dijon Lee, does he kind of remind you, give you shades of? Guy that can play safety, guy that can play corner, that was kind of previously at Alabama. Would you say like an Eddie Jackson, something like that? Or what does he kind of give you shades of?
I don't think we've had anybody like him at Bama, but just because he's more of a Antonio Cromartie, one of those long guys that shouldn't be able to move the way that they can move at his height, at his size. The guy's, every bit of 6'3", man. He's huge, man. But what's so impressive about him to me is how smart he is. How well he reads routes. And like his high school, they play a lot of cover too. And I noticed one where they ran a smash route, and he baited the quarterback to throw it over top. And he was able to come off that underneath route, kind of sit in between and get back enough in time to break up the corner route. How many corners that can get up underneath a corner route like that and knock it down? That pretty much came up on the hitch. That's crazy, man. It's like his length and his range, especially in the zone scheme. He's gonna be able to cover ground, pass off routes, and stay in his zone. Like it's gonna be a point where teams won't even look to his side of the field. Going over top, they won't even look to his side of the field. And he's physical, man. Like he's without a doubt a 5-star, but for them to say he's the 5th best corner in the country, he's better than that. You can't find 4 better. Like this dude is the man. And in most classes, a Chuck McDonald will be your bread and butter number 1 corner. When Chuck McDonald's your number 2, that's saying a whole lot. And this guy's ready. He's special. He's an impact. Like we basically have him and Zay Mincy, 263. That's unfair, man.
Patty, let's say all goes well with Alabama getting Dijon Lee. What do you think this does for this class and just overall? Do you think that puts Alabama over the hump with those Buckeyes in the country?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just – again, I talked about this with Lou this week, man. It sends a shockwave to the people that were getting giddy when the King left. Like, well, shit, here's our chance. Now we can get Bama. And then you heard, the Saban discount was gone. Like Bama got a discount because Saban was getting guys to the NFL. All these things you heard about why Bama was going to fall off in recruiting. And here they are sitting at number 2, and they're not done yet. Number 1 in most classes. And good Lord, yeah, it's shockwaves. It's sending a message that in this new era, Bama's still the damn king. And in 6'4", this Lee kid, good Lord, man. With like Lou said, with Mincy having a 6'4" kid in the secondary that's is athletic, I can't go into unpack more nuance than our boy Ty already did. He nuanced it to death and confused all of our panel. But no shit. It's just, the talent level's not dropping off, guys. People are in for a rude awakening that we're counting on Alabama taking a dip, because the more, and guys, I'll tell you, man, I'm the most neutral here. This is a year I should be excited because the team I grew up loving is getting all kind of preseason love. But the more I look into the season, the more I will not be stunned when Alabama's playing for the national title this year. This dude took Washington in 2 years to the national title. They don't have the talent Alabama's got right now. Guys,
or the coaches.
Again, all you Buckeyes, I'm glad y'all are here. Y'all paid a lot of money. I hope Ryan Day stands up, because he sure couldn't beat Captain Khaki and Harbaugh while he was there. Y'all had all that damn talent and couldn't even win the Big Ten, and y'all have never done good against the SEC. What are y'all, like 1-20 in big games against the SEC? And now y'all bought all this talent, so it better work with Ryan Day and his colored beard, because if not, the bastard ain't won a big game yet with all that magical talent up at Suckeye. So you're going to have to come through the SEC still, and it ain't going to be good, because Alabama hasn't gone anywhere. And I'm serious. This ain't coming from a full-blown Alabama homer. This is coming from an Ole Miss fan that sees a chance to finally get in the playoffs, finally get a chance at something great. And all I can see when I look at it is, no, that Crimson Machine ain't going any damn where. Sorry. It's real.
Before we go to the Buckeye fans, you mentioned
I'm glad they're here, though.
I'm glad they're here too. You mentioned the Saban discount. If you want to get a discount on the awesome title towel, go to wetwillsports.com. Get that crimson towel where we will be waving it all in front of Buckeye Nation fans when we beat them if they make it to the college football playoff. Go to wetwillsports.com. Get you a title towel. Use the promo code STANDARD, that's STANDARD, and get you a title towel. Yes. I love, they said Buckeyes just the next ATM failure. Guys, let's hit this.
Well, Matt.
Yo.
One more thing, man. I'm trying to get people to look at this. Bobby Taylor, 2002 Eagles. That's what you're getting out of Dijon Lee. Look him up.
Bobby Taylor. Okay, I like it. Well, speaking of Dijon Lee, he was on the official visit. Caleb Cunningham. You had guys like Lockett in earlier in the week. Keelan Russell won freaking Elite 11. So Alabama's got a lot of momentum. Let's talk about these official visit reactions. It's like as soon as the official visits ended, boom, crystal balls with crystal balling on social media. And they were balling in Alabama's favor for recruiting. So let's start with Patty and just give us, you mentioned Courtney Morgan, the relationships the staff does. Just to talk about Alabama and how they're handling official visits.
Hey, man, again, they get guys to campus and they're flexing like they always did. I said everybody kind of got excited and thought they had a chance. We're looking at a big running back that was there on an official this week from Mississippi. Alkaline Deer, AK Deer. I'm gonna call him AK because I'll screw up the other way. But AK Deer, who's one of the fastest risers in the country, because again, he's one of those Mississippi kids that didn't have much tape on. They're now getting tape. He's now going to camps and they're realizing he may be the best back in the country. Well, he's been committed to Ole Miss for a couple of months. He goes on an official to Bama this weekend, and now all of his Instagram stuff is cleaned of Ole Miss. And the Ole Miss side is telling, hey guys, within the week he's going to flip to Alabama. So I mean, the official visits can't be going much better. You're flipping star recruits from other programs that felt pretty good about them from their home state. So again, man, I can't keep raving about Courtney Morgan, but when they get there, and it's not just Morgan, it's the whole staff, man. Gillespie, he's the running back. You can't underscore what he does for that program, for the program. It's it's a well-oiled machine and a great staff right now. So no, that's the one I want to touch on, is the one that's probably closer to me, that I thought my Rebels were going to hold on to. He goes to Alabama, and just like in years past, Alabama flexes nuts and gets the kid to flip.
And our nuts are bigger than Ohio State's. LaShawn.
I'm going to highlight somebody that has been an absolute monster. There always seems to be one player in the class that seems to act as one of our main recruiters. And in this class, guys, that guy is Ryan Williams.
Yes.
How many schools can say during a banquet, it gets interrupted by a guy that's never played a snap at the university and says, hey, I got a guy up here ready to say something. And he commits during the banquet dinner. That in itself says it all. The fact that Ryan Williams has been not only pictured in every photo shoot, in every video with these high caliber recruits, because let's face it, people want to play with talent. They want to play with good people. Ryan Williams is both that. And not only is he a great young man, and he's going to be a great player, I can't wait to see the Deuce get loose once again. He is bringing people to play with him. Guys want to be around him. I'd say one of the big reasons that Ole Miss kid might want to flip to Alabama is the fact that our offensive line class is just a whole bunch of mean, big, just defensive stomping machines, for a lack of a better way to say it. So what running back wouldn't want to be like, yeah, I want to run behind that.
And might have shown
it's really a no-brainer. And not only Courtney Morgan, not only Kalen DeBoer, you got Ryan Williams out here daily recruiting, like, hey, man, you might as well just come to Bama, because we're going to be the fastest backfield. We're going to be the fastest offense in the country, so you might as well just come home anyways. I've seen him tweet it out to every high-caliber five-star receiver, because I saw a picture the other day of an adage of some wide receivers we had a couple years ago, and if you put what we could possibly get in this class, and then you add Ryan Williams and Caleb Odom, and oh wow, I don't know how you're even going to be able to guard our four-string receivers, guys. Real talk.
Let's go. LaShawn, get me fired up. Dan, I want to ask you, like we mentioned Ryan Williams, it looks like Alabama's having a different culture shift as opposed in the past, where a lot of the current players are interacting with these recruits. You got more guys being involved. What type of impact does that have for the culture? And you think that's really, in addition to Courtney Morgan and the great staff, what do you think type of impact that's having on these recruits and them on these official visits?
It's just the new age, kids like to go where they feel comfortable, accepted, where they build the friendships, and you talk about Ryan Williams, but I don't want to undersell the job that Keelan Russell has done as well. You get a guy to come visit Bama, Bama was on the outside, wasn't even being considered to come on a visit, just because of the relationship that you have with them. And, now we're in a good spot with the kid, so, dudes want to play with dudes, you know what I'm saying? And iron continues to sharpen iron in Tuscaloosa.
I love it. Speaking of iron, firmness, Chris, give us your take of just the new wave of momentum that Alabama has. It's like they got it rolling. The tide is rolling in recruiting.
The best thing that happened to all the other programs in the country was this dead week.
Great point.
They were rolling, man, and they if Bama comes out of this dead week with going crazy off of commitments, it's gonna be ugly, man. Like, I truly think that if we land who we think we're gonna land, we're gonna end up with the #1 recruiting class in the country, and that's crazy if you fast forward back to February, we were nowhere to be found. All those decommits when Coach Saban, we lost those 2 linemen that are going to Georgia. We lost those 2 bookends, edge guys, and like it seemed like the world was falling back in July. We weren't even in the top 25. And fast forward to the day, it's like now the narrative has changed. It's not can Kalen DeBoer recruit, can Kalen DeBoer coach? Will he be able? First, it was will he be able to recruit the SEC? Now can he coaching it because he's proven that he can recruit. Now can he coaching the SEC? The SEC is a brand new different blah 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 blah. It's like
has he not checked all boxes already?
When people find out like that this ship is not stopping anytime soon, the more they come to accept that. Accept this, the easier it will be for them, because basically he's hired the Nate Oates of football. So it's like Greg Byrne, man, like let's give him a hand, man. Like he's definitely without a doubt the best AD in college sports, without a doubt. Tennessee has a good one because they've been pretty doggone good, and but what Greg Byrne has done is second to none. And you actually have a chance. When was the last time like everybody really thought that like going into a season, a year, a new sports year, that Alabama has a chance to win the national championship in football and basketball?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
What is never?
So just by being where we are, man, it's like Alabama is like the cool spot again.
That's a legit thing. That's not just like, yeah, man, we're fans. We believe it can happen. No, that legit could happen.
Yeah.
Ty. Oh, my bad, Chris.
No, I'm done.
Ty,
break sports.
You Mr. Around the Table Sports. I want you to address these Buckeyes fans real quick. Like you already mentioned. Hey, we discussed all the official visits. I mean, the floor is yours. Let people know about you. Cover all of college football. You cover so many teams. You do an amazing job. Just let them know that they're probably gonna want to put a respect on Bama's name. And if you want to throw shade at the Buckeyes, you can do it.
I mean, listen, I don't. Ohio State should be a great team this year. Y'all know me. I'm going to keep it to facts, right? Like they have got great pieces on defense. I have some questions about the quarterback play. Right. But here's the reality of the situation, Buckeye fans. As great as the talent is, you already had a talent advantage over Michigan, and that has not stopped you losing to them. You just got beat by Michigan's offensive line coach, mind you. Right? Khaki Pants wasn't there. You lost to the offensive line coach. And on top of that, you lost to Missouri, who wasn't first or second in the SEC. So is Ohio State going to be good? They should be. They darn well should be. Gentlemen, if Ohio State loses to Michigan again, that might be it for Ryan Day. And we're going to come on here talking about, have we ever seen a coach whose win-loss ratio has such a large disparity get fired? And the answer to that might be no. But Ohio State isn't paying the guy to lose to Michigan's offensive line coach. That's the truth of the matter. Now, Jim Knowles has done a fantastic job with that defense, as I said he would. That was a great hire. My question isn't with Jim Knowles. My question is Ryan Day. He was more concerned about talking smack to some old man on the Pat McAfee show than he was about doing his work and beating Michigan's offensive line coach. The offensive line coach. Not the guy who's in the NFL, not the guy who just won a national championship. The offensive line coach. That's a fact. Right? And now you don't have the quarterback you had last year. From what I understand, none of them are commanding confidence. Now, that being said, you got several different guys. Chip Kelly's now there. But until Ohio State makes the playoffs again and does something, I mean, you gotta listen to me. Like you gotta give me something, right? Like it's not happening. You can say your running backs are averaging 6.5 yards per carry. That's amazing against Maryland. We're all very impressed. That's amazing against Rutgers and Bishop Sycamore and Mary Mother School of the Blind. I'm very moved. How'd you do against Michigan's offensive line coach?
He's Dale Brown.
The offensive line coach.
I'm gonna make a prediction. They're gonna start calling Ryan Day Marty Schottenheimer. If he doesn't beat Michigan this year, y'all remember back when Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2 and got fired after losing to the Patriots in the playoffs?
Yeah,
that's what's gonna happen to Ryan Day. He's gonna 10-2 they lose to Michigan. That's it, buddy.
Sorry.
And listen, Frog, point out where I lied. I haven't told one lie yet. I said you lost to Missouri. You lost to Missouri. I said you lost to Michigan's offensive line coach. You lost to Michigan's offensive line coach.
He's Dale Brown.
I said,
and a cupcake.
Dale Brown had Shaquille O'Neal and Chris Jackson and couldn't win a national title. Hell of a recruiter, can't win the big game.
Lushawn, round us out. I saw you had your hand out. You live up there in Buckeye Nation.
Aren't they essentially the Fab Five of football? All that talent didn't do jack.
That's why they better win it this year, man. I genuinely think, gentlemen, there is not a coach in the nation that has more pressure on him than Ryan Day. Because if he loses to Michigan again, and Michigan just had all that senior talent go to the NFL, Harbaugh is not there. If he loses to the offensive line, and listen, respect on Sharon Moore, I think he's a fantastic coach. I'm not saying that to be reductionist. I'm saying it because it's a fact. If a first-year head coach beats you again, it's done. It's over. With that roster, it's done.
How many times has Ohio State been to the Natty since Ryan Day took over? That wasn't because of a technicality called COVID?
They haven't. And when they got there, they got absolutely. I think Devontae Smith, gentlemen, hold on. I'm getting word. Yep, that's right. Devontae Smith just ran in for another touchdown. It's 575 yards on that defense. What's this? 600 yards. Sorry, 600 yards on that defense.
Did y'all send y'all Father's Day card to Devontae? Did y'all address
guys? They haven't recovered from that up here. They still talk about, well, if we would have been able to guard Devontae.
Well, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, right?
Yeah, if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump its ass when it hops.
Man, Devontae play an NFL team in Ohio, man. He had to have a personal escort, man. Like personal.
I mean,
security.
they took him out in the second half out of pity, and they still couldn't stop the offense.
Like they don't understand. They don't understand the type of actual schedule that we actually play week in and week out. They have.
I mean, they have a glimpse. Maryland. They lost to Missouri. They played the third best team in the SEC and lost.
Frog, OHNO.
Hey, but here's
arguably the third.
They have a schedule that's kind of against them this year. They go on the road and have to play a lot of tough places. They got to play at Eugene. They got to play at Penn State. I know it's Penn State, but weirder
it don't
things
matter,
happen
man.
at a Navy stadium, especially when it's a whiteout. So
Oregon is loaded.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I might just be hoping this, if they have 3 losses this year.
I just want Bama to play them in the playoffs. Oh my God!
They won't make it to us. Ole Miss will take them off the map.
Exclusive second round.
Ooh, that would feed so many families.
Boy, that would.
Guys, they have to beat Michigan first.
Please, they got Caleb Downs at running back. Please. Oh my God,
bro. Jahad Campbell would knock that dude all the way back down to Georgia if he was lined up at running back. Man, you don't even understand what type of this. Don't even get me started on this defense. How many bones we're going to break? Quite Russo going to reset some spines this year.
Real quick, happy birthday to Jace McClellan.
Oh yeah, Jace.
Hey,
happy birthday.
Hey, they're gonna see Ohio State line up Caleb Downs at the deep high safety. They're gonna be going at him like they're gonna do receivers. They're gonna see him. They're gonna look at the quarterback. They're gonna be pointing to him out there.
Man, Justus will he'll either juke him and make him look stupid or stiff arm him in the. What is this? What is this?
Wait, you didn't have
what is
your
this?
best players. Okay, let's look at the
Jalen Waddle was out. Landon Dickerson wasn't there. Like
you had
your best players wouldn't have saved you.
Hey, you had Olave.
Hold on,
Garrett
pause.
Wilson.
Yeah, how many first round players were on the offensive loan who played for Ohio State that night? And then on the defense too, how many NFL first round draft picks were out there? So I don't want to hear about best players not being out there.
Major league pitchers have higher batting averages than Ohio State's win percentage against the SEC.
Hey, the problem is
Christian Harris broke your quarterback the first play of the game. Or
they don't know how to utilize their personnel.
Right.
They don't know how to utilize their personnel. They got Jameis Winston running, covering kicks instead of running go routes. I mean,
and your best player ever had to go on the land from the police like O.J. Simpson. Maurice Claret still running with guns in his car.
Jeez Louise.
Is this Ohio State roast tonight?
You know who's happy now? Frogman is in the chat. Chris Williams. Chris Williams. He's so glad. He's like,
because we got somebody else to roast. Like, man, you delusional. Like, that doesn't even make sense. You had your whole team knowing where the ball was going. Everybody in the country knew it was going to Smitty.
Dude, your D coordinator dropped the linebacker. He tried to drop a linebacker up underneath Devontae Smith and left him one-on-one.
Y'all losing that natty was what I like to call stupidity tax for what your defensive coordinator did. That was just ridiculous.
And realistically, we could have ran up the score. If that's a Kalen DeBoer offense, we'd probably hang 80 on them.
Hey, Dan, you remember you used to go to the settings in the video game, then you had varsity, then you go back left, you go junior varsity. They put that thing on junior varsity level for the national championship game.
Man,
all American
listen,
they put it on junior varsity.
This was the first year I did YouTube, right? I said it after they beat Clemson. I was like, listen, y'all shut Clemson up. Good job. But that secondary is mighty suspect, and you're not about to play Clemson. I think they're going to beat you. I had Ohio State fans telling me I was crazy, and then I went back to the video after the game, and all those comments, wouldn't you know, were deleted.
Yeah.
Like,
bro,
he won the team that had majority of their opponents canceled that year. Congratulations. You played 6 teams and got put to the first round of the playoff. Awesome.
We played an SEC gauntlet and blanked everybody.
Don't y'all find out running on Facebook and stuff? Like when Bama won the national championship, after they won the national championship, it's so quiet. Like everybody sleep. It's all of us.
It's expected.
But when Bama lost to Clemson or Bama lost to Georgia, oh my God, man, my phone's still going off at 3:30 in the morning. I had somebody call me and said,
I turned my phone off when the kick 6 happened and I left. I went on a sabbatical.
Yeah, that was, man, like somebody called me, dog. Like I didn't even know who it was. Like they literally like,
yeah,
like who's your daddy? We on you know. I was like, who is this? Hey, like who are you? Like obviously nobody important because your number's not saved. We don't have a text chain.
Yeah.
So why are you texting me like I know who this is?
I heard from long lost friends. You know what I'm saying?
We're still in their minds no matter what's going on. Alabama in the back of their head.
Hold on.
We will pause our regularly scheduled ranting because for a great topic that I believe was it Lucian who suggested this. Bama's biggest freak on the team currently. I know you guys have a lot of great options to pick from.
We're not talking Chris James.
Oh, can I say one more thing, Justin? One more thing. I was trying to get this in before you hit the bell.
No diddy.
No diddy. Just give me 30 seconds. Okay.
No diddy.
That's what I say every time, buddy. Just give me
30 seconds. Hey, you and me both, brother. There we are. 30 seconds. Frogman says our rinky-dink coaches. Y'all tried to get Robert Gillespie. Now, earlier, Petty said something about Gillespie being an elite recruiter. You want to know what elite recruiting looks like? This is the list of guys Robert Gillespie has recruited. Keon Keeley, 5-star. Jahad Campbell, 5-star. By the way, didn't y'all want Keeley? Interesting. Justice Haynes, 5-star. Des Ricks, 5-star. Emmanuel Henderson, 5-star. Jalen Hurd. Kamar Wheaton, 5-star. Alvin Kamara, Tyler Booker, Richard Young. Ty Chandler, Jamarian Miller, Earl Little, Kevin Riley, Turbo Rogers, Daniel Hill. That man might be one of the best, if not the best recruiter in the nation.
He's good.
He won the title one, I think.
He's a great dude too, man. Just to talk
He's
to,
cool.
he's electric, man. I'm telling you what, I ain't never been so ready to just run through a wall, and I'm not even a player. I was just talking to him,
And they wanted to hire him. Remember,
So you were like Meek Mill trying to leave a freak party.
Oh,
I wasn't Chris James leaving Rose Towers.
hey man.
All right, biggest freak, guys. Who is Bama's biggest freak? Let's get to this.
Bama's
one.
biggest freak.
Go,
I wrote
Dan.
Matt
Matt
Goodell.
Goodell.
Chris James.
Matt Goodell.
Like if you sneak girls out of the practice facility, I wrote his name as biggest freak. Is that not how we do this? Is this the wrong question?
Room
Dan-
310.
You know,
Bama's biggest freak of an athlete, guys.
Oh, athlete.
Yes.
Athlete.
Dan,
now
get us
the
back on
star
topic.
of the show will lead this discussion off.
Dan,
and then-
get us back on topic.
Yeah, right. You know, we're heard cats tonight. Biggest freak. I get to go first. I'm going with my guy, Jaden Roberts. The guy is a mauler, physical freak. His physique is, similar to mine. Excellent. I expect him to take strides in the pass pro, but best run blocking guard in the country.
Well, you built like Madill Tyler Perry.
You built like Medina.
Lucian, give us your take on this topic.
Oh my! Wow. I actually don't have to change my take because I ain't got to go after Chris. So
Chris gonna name like 5 players.
I got one.
My Bama freak has been a guy I've been on board with since day one. I've seen him. He recently made a number switch. The kid is a freak of nature. Offensive lines are going to get to know Quay Russo very well this season, guys. And I'm telling you what, he is a specimen. And he is just primed for a breakout season, especially in this Kane Womack defense. I don't ask for mercy upon any offensive line, running back, wide receiver, anybody that he meets in the backfield, because, guys, we might actually have shades with the linebackers we have in this room, not just Quay. We might actually see some Ryan Anderson, Reuben Foster, like just disrespectful natures to an offense. And I've missed that. And I know I'm not alone. But my biggest freak is Quay Russo. He's a redshirt freshman, and he looks like he's been in college for 6 years. This ain't Georgia. We get redshirt freshmen that look like grown men in year 1 and 2, not like 6 and 7.
Ty Hayes, give us your biggest freak of athlete on Alabama's football team.
guys, y'all have known I've been excited about this one for a while. And it's going to be easy for me to say, and luckily nobody's taken it. I was going to go Roberts, but I had a feeling I wasn't going to be first. But luckily, I thought that we were going to do one defense, one offense. So this worked out. Damani Jackson. Guy stands 6'1", pushing 200, and runs a 10.25 100-meter dash. Not going to be a wide receiver in the country that he can't catch up to. Plus, this guy is not shying away from contact. He now has a defensive backs coach that is, I think, going to put him in a scheme much better acclimated to what he does with this vision coverage as opposed to Saban's match coverage. So, Damani Jackson is the guy, right? He was in a terrible defensive scheme up there at USC. Alex Grinch shouldn't sniff defensive coordinator positions. Watch out. He is a massive win for this defense.
Ooh, let's go. Chris James.
Well, thank God that Bama doesn't have only one or two freaks, because Ty just took mine. But since they have so many, I'm going to go with Jalen Milroe, the Heisman Trophy winner, man. What's up, dog?
Good.
Man, 6'3", built like that, man. And then he's the only person that was faster on the GPS than, was it Isaiah Bond? That was the second fastest? Gibbs. Yeah, only person faster than Gibbs. Come on, man. Milroe, dog. Like, dude, how many guys you know that can run like that with that type of touch on a deep ball and can make defenders miss in the phone booth, and probably can outbench me, your mama, your auntie, and your granddaddy combined. So, I mean, like, dude is just, he's going to be the Heisman winner, y'all. It's Jalen Milroe.
Let's go to my guy, Mr. Daniel Petty.
I wish you'd have gone to me one sooner, just so I could have shocked everybody in this damn comment section, especially one Van.
I know who you going with.
I was absolutely going to go with Jalen Milroe. I mean, he could play wide receiver. He could play running back. He's good enough to be he's good enough to be a Heisman candidate quarterback. So look, man, he's the biggest freak on the field. He's the best athlete. But since that got taken, I mean, what does the word jihad mean?
Destruction.
Yeah. Give me jihad. Freak.
Ooh, great one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you my biggest freak. One word. He gives you shades of Debo. He can play running back. He can play receiver. He can play gunner. He can play punt returner. He can line him in the slot. Baby. You can line him up out wide. Kendrick Law is my biggest freak. He changed his number. Listen, he's going to go crazy in this DeBoer offense. I'm excited. So, listen, let us know in the chat who we left out. Who you think is going to be the biggest? Yeah, Chris.
Hey, could y'all, this could be have gone a whole lot worse. Y'all know that, right? Like, we could have been Auburn analysts trying to answer these questions.
Hugh Freeze would have been the answer.
The biggest freak is their new recruit, the hot two girl.
5,000 yards.
We might have an offense with a 5,000-yard passer, 2,000-yard running backs, and 6 to 7 750 receivers.
And they got
all catching at least 6 touchdowns.
And nobody mentioned one of the running backs, man. Haynes and Miller, those dudes are freaks.
And wait till you see Richard Young.
Daniel Hill.
Good Lord.
Caleb Odom.
25.
Listen,
but seriously,
Brian Williams.
We don't run
Mbakwe.
But seriously, it could have been an Auburn panel, y'all. This is all bad.
We can debate.
Wait, do they have panels?
Debate the whole damn team.
I'm not being funny. I just had do they have like
Ohio State fans in here? This makes my whole night.
Is there anybody covering Auburn besides an undercover police?
Chris Williams.
I'm just asking.
He's that Stephen A.
Hey, Frogman. And Ohio State is Chuck E. Cheese, just a broke down overpriced shit.
What do they have to stand on? Who have they put in the league that is actually a top athlete in their respective position? Don't worry, I'll wait.
The only one that I could legitimately say is Eddie George, but that's been decades.
No, I'm talking about currently. Talking about currently. You got Nick Bosa and then a big ass pause.
What's Harrison?
They got some. Hey, in their fair, they got a couple of receivers that's gonna be all right. Like
those receivers depend on having a good quarterback. When their quarterback gets hurt, they're screwed.
Garrett Wilson won Rookie of the Year in 22. CJ Stroud in 23.
Oh, Stroud. We got to
get what's the receiver?
All right. I am interested to hear what you guys have to say. Gonna make this a rapid fire segment.
Okay.
Bama's greatest underrated player of all time. You're fired.
Oh shit, that's me.
Nobody else got that shit.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the least ungrateful of the bunch, and that's Dan James, and then go to Petty, then go to Chris James, Lushan, and then up to Matt, and maybe the guys who are currently on the unemployment line can go, and Ty, then Lushan.
Let me rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
That means 30 seconds.
I gotta get in trouble.
DJ Fluker.
Oh, I'm gonna go Javier Arenas. Interception, punt return. He could do it. He came through in the clutch. I'm gonna go Javi.
Rapid fire.
I'm gonna go DJ Hall.
Oh,
think about it. Somebody that didn't get drafted either.
Yeah.
Who's next?
AJ McCarron.
That ain't underrated. He's a bad man. Everybody know he a bad man.
He don't get the love. He don't get talked about like the rest of them.
You
All
right.
right,
There.
I mean, I'll give you a crazy one that everybody don't. Cornelius Bennett. Everybody talks about Derek Thomas.
He wasn't underrated either.
He wasn't under, but who gets the pub from then? It ain't
Derek
Cornelius. It's Derek Thomas.
Derek Thomas. Ty?
I gotta go with what Chris said, man. Like that's just that was the answer I was wanting to give. Listen, if we're talking about like guys that don't give the recognition they deserve, I'll give you one from the Saban era who I don't think we could put on the underrated list, but I don't think that he ever gets that recognition. And Nick Saban Jr. just took it. Ardarius Stewart. That dude was laying people out as a blocker, was so unselfish, and was a great wide receiver. So I think Paul, like that's my answer, but Ardarius Stewart got to be an honorable mention.
Right.
I think, but man, there's players pre-Saban too, man. I want to stick to this network. A guy that doesn't get the love, but and people don't remember before crazy recruiting. Marvin Constant was the man. He was a 5-star. He was an all SEC linebacker. If it wasn't for one play where you talk about leaving it on the line for Alabama, that dude left it all on the field against LSU. He would have had an NFL career that would have lasted a long ass time. That dude was a freaking stud, but it's not remembered because of one play that ended the career short. I think that's one that if we're going to talk about some real underrated studs.
This some old school crap here. If Tyrone Proto was probably the best player played with pound for pound, right? Everybody knows about Proto.
Yeah.
But that doggone Brooks Daniels.
Yeah, he was underrated.
Chris Young gave 3 and Lucian haven't given one yet.
Chris, real quick, Chris, it's funny. I was talking to Smoke Dixon about Brooks Daniels the other day. He said that he was a better player, better linebacker than Salim Rashid.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That blew my mind.
About a $1.90 with 2 bricks in his back pocket.
Lucian.
This is very tough. I've given it about as much thought as I can give with the time allotment I have. And it seems to me that the most underrated player has to be a position that is greatly underlooked. And to me, I would say it's an offensive lineman. And I can't really narrow it down between 3. But I would say whoever played left guard on every national championship team under Saban is probably the most underrated player of Bama all time. Because those guys don't get no love. They don't get no recognition. They get their ass handed to them by our defensive talent on the outside and inside every day. And they showed up to every game to protect our quarterback. I'm not talking about in the last couple of years because obviously that ain't happened. But on any national championship team, give me the left guard.
Well, Anthony Steen.
Right guard.
He's right guard.
Right guard.
Chance Womack.
He's
Chance Womack.
Womack was a dog.
But he not Womack ain't underrated. I mean, like, you had the one power guard, like I would say, like more so
Barrett
like
Jones,
in the Emil Ekiyor in
Jones?
a situation like because Barrett Jones as well, like whoever was playing
was
opposite
right
of Barrett.
Yeah, Barrett Jones played left guard one year.
Mike Johnson.
Then it was Mike Johnson was
nobody's no honorable mentions for the Caps.
Come on, man. You gotta get shot right here, baby.
No. I mean, I just think because you got to give it to the people that do the dirty work. Because if you ain't have big uglies up front doing the dirty work, you ain't gonna get nothing else. So it starts up front. That's where I'm gonna show recognition because no one ever is gonna highlight an offensive lineman for a player of the game, but I will.
Great topic, guys. And back to Ohio State. You know, Ohio State is selling preseason tickets for practices at $50 a pop. I guess they got to pay all those NIL deals up there in Columbus, Ohio.
40 million is expensive, Matt.
I see. I see. But guys, that's going to end our show. Thank you all. Shouts out to the Frogman. Bring some more Buckeye fans in here.
Yeah,
We
Frogman knows his Bama history over there. I think you might be
man, you
closet
might be a
Bama fan.
troll, dude.
Yeah.
You know about Justin McClintock.
You know about
Man,
Dustin?
Dude, he pulled out Brian Bergdorf. Come on.
Yeah, he's hey, listen, credit where it's due, man. He's given some
Bring
great
more Buckeye
Wait
fans,
a
bro, Frog
second.
man. We need more Big Ten fans.
Hey man, I think Frogman might be Van, dog. He know too much. He knows too much Alabama football.
Man, to pull out Brian Bergdorf, that's
might be
some
Van,
deep tracks.
Frogman 3. I just figured out what your name meant, so I already know who you are.
Big Red, the McClintock, that's a good call, man. Big Red was feisty. He laid it like he'd fight for the Tide.
There's too many players. Too many.
But
and that's a debate we can have on the final whistle because our university is actually outstanding at football, unlike Ohio State, who's been dead, Auburn, who ain't never lived, or Tennessee, who just isn't relevant, but once every 20 years. We are relevant all the time.
Listen.
Freddie Millen, baby.
Ooh,
Freddie Millen.
Wow. Justin.
Give me my underrated player.
Yes. Let's go.
William Vallejos.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
Great
Billy
one.
Dixon.
Justin.
Good
Like
one.
that.
You like that?
No, I
You
got
That was well thought out.
I was
Since
good.
everybody give me more than one, I'm gonna say Austin Shepard.
Nice.
Oh,
Right tackle.
Right.
I like
Terry don't get the
I like
love in that
offensive
secondary.
line
He was a
energy,
blue player.
Dan.
Vlahos, you got that dude was.
Hey.
Yeah.
And
Final ball.
when they talk about left tackles in the same era, nobody ever said James Carpenter.
He did his
Hey.
thing.
Hey, Matt, tell the folks about some of the other shows we have on this network and then how they can follow you guys.
Well, listen, as always, the Bama Standard Network is your one-stop shop for Bama content. And tomorrow night, we have the Crimson Dynasty starting at 6:30 Central Time with our star Final Whistle Dan, our lead recruiting analyst, CC Payne and Hannah Stevens. Then after that, we have Teague's Take with the legendary Dallas Cowboy Hall of Famer, things that Ohio State Buckeye fans have no idea of. George Teague, national champion on top of that. And on Saturdays, they have sports talking Saturdays on Saturday here on the Bama Standard. Tune in with those guys. They do an amazing job. All I'm saying is, listen, the Bama Standard Network is your one-stop shop. So, Lushawn, what were we going to say?
I was also going to say that the Buckeyes are without a Heisman Trophy winner in a very, very, very long time. That's all I got to say. Just saying. Just taking another shot.
Lushawn, how can you be reached?
Hey, you can follow me on X, Rolush21. You know I'm always sharing everything Bama. I don't give a damn about the Buckeyes, Auburn, or anything considered orange. We talking about Bama. Don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide over where I'm from. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Lucian Graves. I'm always in there sharing what players got going on, training videos, trying to just give you guys a little bit more insight and outlet of what these players are doing. Because I'm telling you, this energy of this team, this locker room, this coaching staff, it's infectious. And when you get that type of infectious energy in June and they get the pads on in August and we actually get to lay our hands on people in September, 68 days.
Man, I thought you were going to say 69, but that's neither here nor there. Speaking of 69, Daniel Patty. How can they reach you? I know you got back from MassageCon. Is it true that Hugh Freeze has been on vacation before the dead period?
Based off the unavailability of the parlors in South Florida, I would say yes. So I guess you're just going to have to catch me here with you guys on Tuesday night or on the X at Petty_Daniel or Face page. Just look for Petty. I'm there, Pettey.
Let's go.
And every Tuesday
Face
night
page.
with the Avengers.
The Avengers.
The Avengers.
Mr. Around the Table Sports, how can they find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me over Around the Table Sports. You can find me on Bleacher Report. You can find me anywhere that gives me a microphone. And for those of you that were wondering why I've been, just bobbing my head, I got a great music mix going on in the background while we're over here doing our thing, right? So it's all love over here. We're having a great time. That's why the Auburn fans are over here, because there are no Auburn shows.
No great time.
Ty's gonna be in
Why
Say
is
the Last
Ohio
Dance
State
too.
over here too?
They want to know what it's like to be around greatness.
Say the Last Dance too. Say the Last Dance too. Featuring Ty Hayes.
He listened to the OVO Hugh music over there.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I really think
We got an
you
elite
that really
playlist
wrong.
over here.
Dan.
He's listening to Eminem Houdini.
Houdini. Oh.
Griselda mix.
Friends.
Oh,
How many of us have them?
A little Benny the Butcher? Okay.
West Side Gun, Hall and Nash, Conway.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I like it. Dan, where will you be at your dance at the this week?
Well, I'll be dancing on the internet trying to figure out, get these covers, get these backstories on these recruits and commits we're going to be getting this week. We got a big commitment date set up for Friday, but y'all find me on Twitter, X, whatever you're calling it nowadays, at Final Whistle Dan. Catch me here every Tuesday night, right here on the Final Whistle, and on this very same network tomorrow night, new time, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. The Crimson Dynasty. We have a very special guest tomorrow, y'all. Former Alabama linebacker Jarrell Harris will be on the show with us tomorrow.
My God.
So y'all tune in. It's going to be a very fun field show.
And on Teague's Take tomorrow, Iowa State's probably best player, Seneca Wallace, will be on George Teague's Take. That's what we do.
No crap. Seneca Wallace.
Wallace was a bad
That dude was a badass.
Seneca Wallace used to collect jock straps. He used to shake so many guys out their jock
my
straps.
God.
He was one of my favorite players.
So that's my freshman year bowl game. We had to play against him. It wasn't fun.
He was very David Palmer-like.
Yeah.
Very,
Oh, yeah.
very,
He was.
very. Chris, speaking of jock straps, I know you went through many of them. How can they find you?
Yeah, man. I pop them all the time. They got too small for you, boy.
Oh, they don't freak up.
Oh, you ain't get that hernia fixed.
Hey, you gotta wash it with cold, bro.
Hey, well, yeah, man. You can find me on Facebook at Chris K. James Sr. On Instagram at the final the _whistle _Chris. You can find me on X at Coach Chris James. In about another hour, you can find me over at Dan's house rating his refrigerator.
But leave my daddy cornbread alone.
Just because it's Tuesday. But yeah, man, and then every Tuesday night, man, here with the Avengers, the best crew, on the market. To the right of me, I have Killmonger, which is Dan.
Man, that's a compliment, Dan. I think that's the nicest thing you
Killmonger
ever
was a
said
bad
about
boy.
you.
Killmonger
That's what I'm
was
saying.
he wore the Black
That's what I'm
Panther
saying.
scale.
Is
That's what I'm
this your
saying. That's
kid?
like the nicest thing you ever said about your brother.
Is this your kid? Dan knows I love him. I'm just giving him back from the 8 years.
Between you and him and Van, man, they do it to me.
I love him. Then you got Petty,
Pause.
whose vision, he sees everything, before it happens. Then below him, you got Lou, who's the Hulk.
Thor. He's Thor.
I'm
No,
Thor,
Luke
bro.
Cage.
I'm not
Luke
Thor.
Cage.
Changed so many times.
He's Thor.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Then
No,
next to him,
not Luke Cage.
You have Ty, who's what's the one with the arrow? What's his name?
Hawkeye. No,
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye.
Tony
You have
Stark.
Hawkeye.
No, we gotta give Todd something better.
These
Ty-
Chris is going off the reservation.
Listen, hold
Todd's
on.
Iron Man.
Todd's Iron Man. Ty, because of his wonderful
Iron Man.
sarcasm and sense of humor, is
Yeah,
Deadpool.
he could be Tony Stark.
He's Deadpool.
No,
Deadpool.
Yes.
I would give that to Petty. Petty is Deadpool.
Yeah, Petty.
Yeah,
Petty.
Deadpool.
All right.
Ty is definitely Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Iron
Tony
Man.
Stark. Look at his beard. He's got a weird beard like Tony too. Look at him.
Yeah.
You see, he got that weird Tony Stark thing going. He can definitely.
Man is hope.
Matt is King T'Challa.
Oh yeah, he definitely.
We
the
do
Black
not do that
Panther.
here.
We do not do that.
The
here.
power of the Black Panther has
No,
been
Justin
stripped away.
is actually Vision. He's the
Yeah,
father.
Justin is definitely
You're the
Vision.
father of the network, man. You're the father of the Bama Standard, man. You had the vision.
You just be flying through the air, just lasering people with that little dot, like
Yeah.
diamond in your head.
Chris is a Hong Kong fooey.
On that note, we want to thank everybody who's in a live chat tonight, staying with this nonsense. We had 150 plus.
Hanging in strong. Appreciate
Hey, the
y'all.
final
Hit
boss
like
is
button.
talking.
Sorry,
150 plus.
Thanos.
Glass Joe.
Beautiful.
We're sending help, honey. Don't worry. I got an undercover outside his house.
Go, Justin.
Hey, will you tell the
You know
girl
what?
taped up back there to hit the like button?
Yeah.
Blink
Three,
twice if you're okay.
2,
Your wife sets a
One.
low.
break,
Yeah,
break,
do
break,
it for
break.
the final whistle and these guys' careers.
Roll Tide.
Next week, you'll see Dan James, and that's it. Remember to hit that like and
It's been
subscribe
live,
button
though.
as you leave this wonderful craziness that we call the final whistle. We couldn't do without you. Thank you, live chat. Thank you for everybody that puts up with us weekly. And you will be getting a crazy check individually because there's so many of you. They'll end up being 50 cents a piece. Spend it well. That'll do it for all of us. Roll Tide.
Don't give a piss about nothing but the chat.
No, God.
Chat, y'all were awesome tonight.
Throw them L's up. Throw them L's.